Hey, what's up, everybody? I was watching this little YouTube video, and it just really was grinding my gears here. And I really just cannot stand what's going on with this country. And if I was running for president, none of this would be going on because, for example, like Kamala Harris did her first interview, her first solo interview, and it totally bombed. And it was, she's talking about dreams and aspirations and this and that, and it's just like, oh my God, no, the country is screwed up, and you're over here talking about dreams. Nobody cares about your dreams. The only person who does is yourself, right? So stop acting like you care. Nobody cares, right? So, I'm sitting here watching this. I'm like, let me run for president. Let me actually do it. I would love to have, whenever you're a kid and you dream, like, if I was running for president, how would you handle it, right? If that was me, what would I do, right? Like, for example, like a sit-down interview. They say, hey, Crypto Brandon, the economy is a little screwed up right now. How would you fix it? Well, first of all, we don't live in a people's economy, right? We don't live in an economy that benefits we the people. We are basically renting a little tiny spot in the economy, right? Because it's not a people's economy, it's a central banking economy. And this central banking economy has created a lot of health problems for this country. So if you're sick, let's say you're super, super sick, and you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, what's wrong? And you say, I'm sick. I don't know what's going on. What does the doctor do? He runs tests to figure out what the hell is wrong with you. Okay, well, that's exactly what we have to do with our country. We have to run tests to figure out what's actually wrong. And you can say, well, we know what's wrong. We have inflation. Inflation's the problem. No, it's not. Inflation is not the problem, right? I've said it was the problem before. It's not. It's not the problem. You know what inflation is? It's a symptom of the sickness. So if let's say I have COVID, right, and I go to the doctors and I say, Doc, I got this cough, and the cough is the problem. It's the cough that's the problem. The doctor says, no, it's not. You have COVID. That's the problem, right? So think about the country. We have inflation, right? No, inflation is the symptom. Inflation is the cough. But what's really the problem? What's causing the inflation? Just like COVID is causing the cough. What's causing the inflation? Right? The central banking money printing scam. That's what's causing it, right? Trump would never say that. Kamala would never say that. Why? Because they gotta act presidential. And I say, I say that, right? I don't want to hear that. Our country, think about this. Our country is so screwed up, right? And you're going to sit there and act presidential? I don't want that. Okay, imagine you come home from work and you get home and you notice your house is on fire. Are you going to sit there and act all nice and calm and say, hi, honey, how are you? What's for dinner? Hey, little Billy, did you do your homework? How was school today? Hell no! You're going to say, oh my God, my house is on fire. What the f*** happened? That's what I'm doing. That's what Trump should be doing. That's what Kamala should be doing, right? Saying this is a really bad situation here. And it is, right? Because at the end of the day, there's only really a couple things that actually make up this country, right? This system, which is what? It's money and energy. Money and energy. Whoever controls the world's money controls the world. Whoever controls the world's energy controls the world. So there's really three parts of it. You have the deep state and crooked politicians, right? You have the deep state actors like George Soros, Obama, people like that, right? And even higher up than that, and you have the leaders of these banks, these corporations, right? They are the ones who actually call the shots, right? So it's not like your senator or your congressman. They have nothing to do with it, right? As far as the system itself. Now, they can enact policy and things like that, but it doesn't change the fabric of the actual system itself, right? Again, inflation is a symptom of a dying system. It's the system that needs to be killed, not the symptom, right? If I have a cold and I buy some cough syrup, it's going to help my cough, but it's not going to kill the cold, right? It's going to alleviate my symptoms. So what does Trump want to do? Well, we want to drill, baby, drill, right? That's what he said. We want to drill, baby, drill. We're going to lower energy costs, and it's going to help with inflation. But that's just putting cough syrup on a cough. That's not actually solving the actual problem. Now, I really believe Trump actually wants to change the system. I believe he wants to audit the Fed. I believe that he wants to transition us from this central banking economy, this fiat currency debt-based enslavement system, and transition us into a level playing field, right? Into a crypto-backed, a gold-backed system. Now, I could be wrong on that, but I don't think so. I think that's what he wants to do, but he's not coming out saying it, right? He's not going to come out and say it. And why not? Why? Because optics are important. You got to have this optical illusion when dealing with people, right? Because if you just said everything I just said on a TV interview, right, you probably wouldn't be elected, because the people who really own the country will say, no, we can't have that, right? So that's why it's kind of a sick thing. But I would love to pretend that I'm running for. I don't want to run for the president, but I would love to pretend like I'm doing right now, and say what I would say. Because still we don't live in a people system, right? So I think, I'm sitting down, right? Look, Kamala's sitting down doing her little interview here.
Kamala's first solo interview on a major news network bombed. Harris came in 13th place on MSNBC. More people watched the WNBA than Kamala Harris. There's no appetite, because we know what to expect, which is nothing. Kamala Harris isn't going to say anything for the rest of her life. Even if she wanted to, she's not allowed to. If you're looking for a vision, a plan, an explanation about her past, or even how she's going to accomplish what she wants to do.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, why can't she? Because she's a puppet. She has to watch what she says. She can't say what she really wants. She won't be elected. Just like how Trump can't say what he really wants. He wouldn't, you know what I mean? So I feel like if someone said the stuff I'm saying and just came out swinging like a monster, spitting out all these real facts, I feel like people would respect that. And I feel like that person would have a good chance. Like, there's really only 3 presidents that really, well, probably more, but you have George Washington, number 1, you have Abraham Lincoln, number 2, and you have Andrew Jackson, number 3, right? Those 3 guys understood what the hell's really, what this country is really built on, right? You probably have more than that, but on the face of it, those 3. So what I would do is I would call Elon Musk. I'm president. Hey, Elon, what's up? Hey, you want to audit the entire federal government and give me a balance sheet of what we owe, and then also how much we're spending, how much we're receiving? Sure, yeah, no problem, right? 25 years later, we get it, right? No, I'm just kidding. But no, we get it, hopefully quick, and we say, well, there's your problem right there. Just like, I'm sick, and I went to the doctors, and they do all the tests. It turns out I have cancer. Oh, no. Well, at least I know, right? At least I can treat it now that I have it, right? By the way, they have the cure for cancer. They just don't let you know about it because it's more profitable for them to actually treat you rather than cure you, right? If you can come in 50 times into the doctor's office, that's 50 times more money, right? Versus coming once and you're cured. You see what I mean? So they have the cure. Think about how long they've been receiving cancer donations, and they still haven't figured it out. Gee, I wonder why. Because it's all a scam. They love cancer. The people who own this country love it. I bet they created it. You know why? Because it keeps the population down. It keeps their wealthy corporations more wealthy, right? Because think about the pharmaceutical and the medical industry. Think about how much money they've made because of cancer. Do you think they want to eliminate their best customer? Hell no, right? So, that's just a sick game we live in. And if I was running for president, if I was Kamala, that's what I would have said, right? Why wouldn't she say that? If she said that, everybody would be like, whoa, I can't believe she said that, right? You would actually get voted in because people feel the same way, right? What I'm saying, what I'm speaking, when you hear the truth, you know it's true. It hits you in a way where you feel like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that has to be real. That has to be the truth. Or maybe you're like, no, that's totally wrong. Well, I respect that too. So, anyway, Elon Musk, you got my audit of the Fed. You got the audit of the federal government. Perfect. Let's see how much we're spending. Oh my God, look at all this money. Wow, we're $30 trillion in debt. Yeah, we knew that. Where'd all this money go? Waste, 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 waste. So immediately I would turn off everything. I would have a government shutdown, just like how Trump did. Remember, he was fighting for the wall with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer in the Oval Office, and they were going at it. He had a government shutdown for that wall. Well, guess what? That's just a wall. This is our entire economy, our entire financial system. So if anything, I would have a government shutdown over that. So anyways, I don't know what inspired me to do this video. I'm fired up because, politics is a dangerous thing, because once you get into it, that's why people don't like talking about it, because there's two things you don't want to I had an older guy, very smart, when I was like 12, 13 years old. He lived with my dad for a little while. He was a retired cop, and he said, there's two things I'll never talk about. And I said, oh yeah, what's that? He said, religion and politics. Those are two things you will never win. And I didn't really understand it when I was younger, but now I do, right? So the thing is this is not about politics. Like, oh, I want to raise your taxes. No, I want to lower your taxes. That's not what this is about. This is about changing the actual system that's causing all of the problems, right? So again, audit the entire government, figure out what the problem is, and then introduce a solution on how to fix it, right? So how would we fix it? Well, we need accountability for our financial system. Well, how would you do that? Well, what kind of a system do we live in? We live in a debt-based fiat currency central banking system. So how do you change it? You go through crypto. That's what this channel is about, crypto. I think crypto is going to save this world if people are in the right position to do it. So crypto and gold are the only solutions that can totally and utterly level the playing field and destroy the central banking monopoly over the American system, right? Which is really not the American system. You know why it's not an American? What I'm about to tell you right now is going to make you very mad. You ready? Okay. So there's a middle-aged family, right? They have 2 kids, and they bought a house, and they paid cash for the house, because they hit it big, right? They're paid off. They have a paid-off house. They're living fine. And then the year ends, and then they get a bill in the mail, and they open it up, and they look at it, and they owe $4,000. And the guy's like, wait a minute, what the hell's this? And right above it says tax. It says property tax. Okay? Property tax. Well, first of all, you don't own your house. Nobody owns anything in this country. Nobody. right? Say, oh yeah, I got 2 acres in Texas. Yeah, it's my property. It ain't your property. It's the government's property. Or I got an acre, or I got a 1/4 acre in Malibu, and I'm looking at the ocean. No, you don't. That's not yours. You're renting it. You're renting it. Or I got a little tiny apartment. Well, yeah, you're renting that. Or I got a little tiny house just outside of the city on a little tiny lot. And I own that lot. No, you don't. You don't own it. You don't own it. If you owned it, why are you paying for it? Oh, because that's just the taxes. You just have to pay. No. That's so wrong. It's like I own this land, yet I have to pay for it. Does that make any sense? Property taxes are the biggest scam in the world. Second to, actually income taxes, right? Income taxes is totally a scam. Totally a scam. You only need one tax. Sales tax. That's it. That's it. If we eliminate the income tax, that's what I would do if I was Kamala. That's what I would say. Eliminate. Look, if I was Kamala, I probably could get elected. Maybe. If I rig it hard enough. But no, if she came out and said these things, I think it would really, like, just imagine if she did, like, whoa, like insane, right? Like, eliminate the income tax. Like, that's preposterous. That's a radical idea. How could you say that? Oh my God. Well, why not? It sucks. Nobody wants to pay income tax. Well, then how would you run the government? That's the problem. The government. You need to shrink the government. It's too big, right? So you eliminate the income tax. You eliminate the property tax, right? And then the government's like, well, now I don't have enough money to do the things that we're used to doing. Well, exactly. We're going to cut all that fat off, right? It's like we're at a restaurant. We bought a beautiful prime steak. It's so good. It smells so good. And the chef brings it out, and it's like a little tiny piece of meat, and the rest is just all fat. And the government's like, it's okay. Fat is flavor. When it's really just, taking up weight in space. A little fat's okay, but not a lot. So, shrink the government. Eliminate it all. We don't need it. Why do we need it? There's no reason. So that's a big deal right there. So anyway, it just really bothers me when people talk about inflation. I mean, I've talked about it too. I'm myself to blame, but inflation is just a symptom of a dying system. Nobody talks about the virus. They talk about the symptom that the virus has created, right? So they don't, and they say, oh, it's government spending's the problem, right? So replace inflation with government spending, I think it would hit a little bit harder. But if you replace government spending with crooked central banks, it would probably hit even harder, right? Because if you really think Joe Biden is responsible for inflation, then, I kind of feel bad. Maybe he's a little bit for government spending purposes, right? Obviously, if the government is going to spend it more than it takes in, then it's going to cause inflation. But what is literally causing it is a central bank that prints money out of thin air. They loan it to the government with interest attached. Then you, the taxpayer, have to pay it back plus interest. If I was Trump, I would say, what sort of rigged deal is that? It's rigged. It's rigged. The system is rigged against you. Just like George Carlin used to say, right? Remember George?
There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. you have no choice.
Exactly.
You have owners. They own you.
Yep.
They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought.
You know why the central bank was created? To own everything. I would suggest subscribing to Gregory Mannarino. He's a pretty good guy, and he speaks the truth. If he's out there listening to this, he knows exactly. I doubt it, but if he is, he knows exactly what I'm talking about here, right? So what do I mean by that? They own. So for example, if I have a license to print money, then that means I can take that money and I can buy whatever I want. So that's what the Federal Reserve central banking system was designed to do. It was designed to keep everyone slaves. And the reason how they do that is because they have basically unlimited money. Unlimited money. It's like having a credit card with unlimited. You can buy whatever you want whenever you want, right? And that's what they do. And that's why the stock market has been going up, decade after decade after decade. Why? Because they have so much cash, they don't know what to do with it. They have so much. That's a good problem to have, right? I wish I could have that problem. I wish you could have that problem. Having so much money, you don't know what to do with it. What do they do with it? They just throw it in the market. They throw it in the market, and then the market goes up. And what do? They get more rich. They get more money, right? So that's, and they don't care about the money. That's the thing. They don't care about it. They know it's worthless. It's confetti. It's nothing. What they really care is the item itself, right? Like I just bought a battery charger the other day for my RC cars, and it's a pretty sophisticated battery charger. But it was, I don't remember how much it cost, like 40, 50 bucks. It's a nice one though. But here's the thing. This battery charger I can touch it. I can feel it. It actually serves a purpose, right? So what would the central bank rather have? $50 or that battery charger? They would rather, or a better thing is, what would they rather have? A bunch of oil or a bunch of cash, right? I would imagine they would want the oil. They want resources. They want commodities. That's what it's about. Commodities. Bitcoin, crypto, XRP, THETA, right? They want that. They don't want money. They print it in their back shop. And, so I think if they educated the public about the real fabric of this system, and there's no greater documentary in the world than the one I'm about to show you in just a moment. But let's keep listening here.
Land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big media news, all the big media companies. So they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help.
And that's what this channel is, right? I don't consider myself well-educated, but I do think of myself as critical thinker. And I believe you do too. I believe if you're in crypto and you've watching the channel, you're taking an interest in charts, you're taking an interest in price, right? I'm not just a one-hit wonder with charts, right? I feel like there's much more than that, right? It's more complex than that, right? The main feature of this channel is charts, price, where it's going, because at the end of the day, that's what matters, right? But talking about outside of money, like how badly our government has failed us, not because it wanted to, right? Like when you think of an individual politician, a lot of them are good people, right? They have families, they're good people, but an individual politician cannot do anything, right? They are stuck within the confines of a bigger problem. a system that doesn't allow them to do anything. They can't do nothing, right? If they want to do this, they introduce a bill. How many politicians created a bill, introduced it, and it got shot down? Like 99.9999% of all of them get shot down. You know why? Because they don't care about your little bill, right? Because if it affects their business, they don't want that. So what it's really about is who owns most of everything. Well, now let's talk about energy. Let's talk about energy now. And this, in my opinion, is even more important than actual money, right? Because energy, if there's a village in Africa, think about Africa. A lot of them, they don't have a lot of money. And now let's go to a village. Let's pick any village, a poor village. They're probably all poor. And let's go to a house, and there's like 50 people in the house, and we'll ask them what they want. Do they want money, or do they want energy? What do you think they're going to say? I would imagine some of them would say money. But if I can say, but I would think what they would really want is energy. Energy can have them self-sustain. They can grow crops, right? They need, I look at water as a source of energy. So energy is everything. Energy is what makes the world go around. Money is just the ledger in which value is, distributed. So, and that's what crypto is for, right? We don't even need money. And that's why I think crypto is one of the most important revolutionary inventions of mankind, because it's an actual weapon. Crypto is a weapon. It's like kryptonite to Superman, okay? That's what it's like. So think of crypto like kryptonite, and think of Superman like the central bank, right? So, he's not going to be flying high tonight, right? With the introduction of a crypto legislation, right, to replace the dollar, that would be the day. But let's keep listening first.
That's against their interest. That's right. You know something? They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago.
Man, I love George Carlin. He's the greatest comedian of all time. Period. The end. It's no discussion, right? Just type George Carlin in and watch his stuff. It's he's got some dark humor, but it's funny. It's hilarious.
They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers.
Yep.
People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours.
Kamala. That's who I think of. Joe Biden. That's who I think of. Just smart enough to run the machine, but just dumb enough to not figure out how badly they're getting screwed, right? So
Reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it.
nope.
You and I are not in the big club. By the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long, when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hardworking people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hardworking people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all. There's a reason education.
So, I mean, wow, right? By the way, this was, I believe, in 2006. 2006, that's a long time ago. 2006. Okay, this was way before Obama. This was way before Trump. Well, Obama was 2 years later. But, man, think about if George Carlin, he'd passed away in 2008. Man, I wish he was alive right now today. I would love to sit down and have a conversation with him, if he can see what has happened since 2006 is just absolutely mind-boggling. Think about all the events that have happened between now and then, right? I mean, you had the great 2008 financial crisis. You had, I mean, you had Trump, right? I mean, you had C-19, you had everything, I mean, just so much. I'm not going to talk about all that, but let's keep moving here. So, I'm pretending, right? This is a thought experiment here. So I'm Kamala, and I'm doing my first. Remember, this is where the video started. We're sitting down, we're talking, and she's talking about dreams and aspirations and hardworking people, and my mother was this and that, and my childhood, and nobody wants to hear that crap, right? People are hurting, people are in pain, people want answers. And nobody's giving them answers, right? They don't know what actually is wrong. They think Trump is the bad man. They think Kamala. They think Joe Biden's the bad man. They're just people. They're not. If you're pointing blame at an individual, and I've done it many, many times, then they probably have a lot to be blamed for, but you can't blame an entire system on one person, right? Unless it's the Fed, the Federal Reserve, right? So I would audit the Fed, I would reconstruct the Fed, and I would go as far as ending the Fed, right? Elect me as president. Imagine, I'm not, again, thought experiment. Elect me as president and I will end the Fed. Why can't we have somebody like that? I mean, we have Trump, but he would never say that. And I think, again, optics, right? But I would just love if he could say that, right? I think he would get more support. But in the Fed and introduce a new system, right? The dollar is the problem. It's the dollar. So we get rid of the dollar. You know what the number one problem is? Go to usdebtclock.org. There's your problem right there. How come he doesn't say that? Go to usdebtclock.org. If you want to see the problem, that's where you go. Go to that website. Here we go. So this is the problem right here. I mean, look at this. We're $35.4 trillion. I mean, this is the biggest scam in the world right here. So think about, and people, they don't really think about it a lot. But think about your children's children, right? And if people don't have kids, I encourage you to have kids, right? If you don't have kids, have kids. It is one of the most important things you can ever do with your life, is to actually bring in another human being, right? People don't want to deal with the baby and the upbringing, and it's a lot of work. But I'm telling you, it feels like overwhelming. But it's actually one of the best things you can possibly do. And it actually, because most people are selfish, right? I mean, I'm selfish, right? I mean, most people are selfish. They grow up and it's about them. It's, people say, oh yeah, I think about you. But really people think about themselves. And that's just the way we are. We're human beings. We're selfish people, right? But when you bring a child in, it really changes the way you feel about the world and the way you feel about things in an interesting way. But then also, it allows because you're special in your own way, and you take your seed and you pass it on, right? It's just like in the wild, take any animal, right? The animal, the female animal is going to take the biggest, the strongest specimen, right? Not because that's what they find attractive, but because they know their baby would have a better chance at survival. But if we sort of translate that to us, it's not about being a big, strong brute. Maybe it was back in the Roman days, but now it's about being smart, right? Brains over brute force. Obviously both is good to have too, but right. But I think at the end of the day, we're all just trying to be better people. And I think having a child, you don't have to have a bunch of kids, right? I mean, obviously, you got to have the right partner. You don't want to just say, oh, I want to have a kid. Let's just find somebody. No, you got to have the right person, right? So, anyway, that's just my thoughts. Tucker Carlson speaks about that too. Having kids is one of the most important things, because you got to think, when you're 80 years old, who's going to be there? Who's going to be there, right? You're going to be lonely and depressed. Maybe you already are lonely and depressed. A lot of people are, and it's kind of sad. But that's why we got crypto, to kind of keep us alive. It kind of keeps us motivated. It kind of keeps us waking out of bed every morning, looking forward to something. Kind of takes us away from our crappy lives. But our lives aren't. I mean, in general, I'm not saying your life is crappier or mine, or I'm just saying, like, in general, people are unhappy. I mean, maybe they might be happy at times, but overall, there's a lot of problems out there, and people just have to cope, and they have to deal with it, right? And I go back to the example of you not owning anything, right? You can own your car, but if you don't pay insurance on that car, you can't drive it. If you don't pay your tags, you can't drive it. You can own a house, but you don't own the land in which it sits on. And you say, yeah, I do. I own the land. Here's the deed to the land. Here it is right here. Yeah, but you have to pay every year for that land. So it's basically like you're renting it. That's bullshit. Sorry, but it is. I mean, it's such a fake thing. So all you need is sales tax. And if the government can't sustain itself with income tax and property tax, right, death tax, I think Trump's going to move into that direction, because he already said no tax on tips, right? He talked about the death tax. He talked about no tax on overtime. You got to start somewhere, right? It's kind of like the left. They're like, oh, we don't want to take away your guns. We just want to take away the big ones. Yeah, that's how it starts. But then how it ends is them taking away everything, including the kitchen knife, right? I mean, that's how it starts. And for me, it's about starting, or for Trump, it's about starting with the death tax over time, and moving gradually, eventually getting rid of the income tax, right? But I think you need a big excuse for that. And I think an audit of the Fed, an audit of our government spending, the government doesn't deserve it, right? They don't deserve our hard-earned tax money. That's the number one thing people care about, is where their tax dollars are going. I mean, they work hard for their money, and it goes to crap like, it's ridiculous. And then when you have the border open and all these illegals pouring in, all of our resources drying up because of them, right? Then it makes it even more challenging. So, that's how I would feel. I would introduce a crypto-backed, gold-backed system, completely removing the power away from the Fed. Because why is the Fed allowed? Why is a private bank allowed to control our entire multi-hundred trillion dollar monetary system? What sort of rigged deal is that? It's a private bank. They're not elected, right? They're bureaucrats, and they're in charge of the Fed. Well, first of all, that should be we should be in charge of our own money, right? And I think, going back to a full gold standard, or going to a full crypto standard, or a hybrid standard, which I think would be best, it would really hold governments accountable, because then you wouldn't have all this government spending, right? You can't just print $1 trillion and say, yeah, everything's cool, I'm going to bail out the banks like they did in 2008, right? Because we don't have the money, right? If you don't have the gold to back the dollars, then you don't have nothing, right? And that's what the J.P. Morgan, the America's #1 banker, said. Gold is money. Everything else is credit. Everything else is credit. Gold is money. Everything else is credit, right? So now we got crypto, right? That's how I would do it, and I would share that plan with the American people. Maybe I might get assassinated. Maybe I might get laughed at. But you know what? I think someone needs to say it. I know Ron Paul used to talk about audit the Fed. I mean, Ted Cruz, senator from Texas, he introduced an audit the Fed bill, but they don't want to talk about that. Like, you can't even say those words around the mainstream media. And that's another massive, big problem that I would do as president. I mean, yeah, you got to have freedom of the press, but at the same time, you can't just blatantly lie and not be held accountable. So, all right, let's move on to energy now. So this is the big one. And you think what I just said is ruffle some feathers? This is really going to ruffle some. And this is a lot of conspiracy attached to it. But this is what I believe, and I could be wrong, but what I'm about to tell you is going to really, man, I don't know how it's going to be perceived, but what I believe is I'm going to talk about aliens. You're like, aliens, what the hell does that have to do with anything? Well, it has a lot to do with a lot of stuff, and first of all, it has a lot to do with energy, and so I think the number one problem in the world, obviously, is our money problem, but it's also an energy problem, right? Because energy, you can have like oil, gas, solar, wind, coal, nuclear, right? There's a lot of different forms of energy. The problem with all forms of energy is they're all limited. They're all limited. They're all limited in their capabilities, right? And then you have like, the global warming people, right? The climate change people. And I'm not here to debate about that. I do, obviously the climate does change, right? Obviously it changes over time. 10,000 years ago we had an ice age. I believe we're going to have another ice age soon at some point, right? I mean, it's just what happens. But using clean energy can kind of help protect the planet, right? I mean, we got to protect the planet. I mean, this is our home, right? I mean, the left, the radical left agenda about, banning gasoline cars and doing all these crazy things is just not going to happen. It's unfeasible. It doesn't make sense. You can't do that. Why? Because there's no alternative. It's like with the money, the banking system. I would never say in the Fed if we didn't have an alternative system. We do. We have crypto. Okay? Crypto is the number one thing that can solve the financial problem, which is the number one problem in the world, aside from energy, right? But we don't have an alternative energy that can replace oil, gas, coal, electric, solar, all the crap that we're used to, right? I have nothing against gasoline. I love oil. I love gasoline cars. But the problem is, how much are you spending a year on gas? Do you like spending that? No. Why should we spend money on gas, right? Why should we spend money on electricity? Why should we spend money on natural gas? Why should we, everything is so expensive, also because of inflation, but mostly because of energy cost, electricity, right? I mean, it's summertime, you turn your AC on and you feel nice and comfortable, and then you get the bill at the end of the month. You're like, gosh, dang, man, look how expensive that is just to run a freaking AC unit. Why? Because there's so much demand. Demand is the highest it's ever been, and it will continue to grow. As we grow as a nation, as a country, as a world, energy becomes more scarce, right? And, drill, baby, drill, like Trump said, that's going to help. It's going to help. We need more oil. We need to be energy independent. I agree. But that's not going to solve the problem, because the next Joe Schmo is going to come along and deplete our oil reserve, just like Joe Biden did, and screw up everything once again, right? So I think we do need more oil right now. But here's the thing. Remember in the beginning of the video, I said they have the cure for cancer? Well, guess what? They have the cure for energy too. But they don't want you to know about it. You know why? This is going to be the biggest thing I've ever said on my channel, ever. ever. So this is the grand finale of about everything about what's really wrong with this country and the world. So I hope you're ready, because this is big. And you might laugh at me and say I'm the most dumbest person in the world for believing that, but that's what I think, right? This is what I think. So, like I said, they have the cure for cancer, but they will not tell you why, because it's more profitable for them, right? Okay, we got that. Now go to Nikola Tesla. Remember that? They said, we're going to go with Edison. AC/DC, right? Alternating current, I think, was Tesla. And then direct current, right? AC/DC. Direct current was Edison. And Edison said, oh, it's too dangerous. It's not going to work. And Nikola said, no, it's not. You just don't know how to do it, right? And they said, well, how can I make money off of this, right? Because Edison was pimped out by J.P. Morgan, and J.P. Morgan and Edison only cared about what? Money. That's what it's about, right? I mean, money. So they didn't care about anything other than that. So they needed something that would give them money, right? So if I had alternating current, I couldn't sell this neighborhood or this town power lines. I couldn't sell them the wood that attaches to the power lines. I couldn't sell them the light bulbs, all the outlets, everything you need, the electrical components, right? That's what it's about. It's about a business selling those things. So, just like oil, right? Think about all the wars in the Middle East. Why did we go there? You think it was there because of weapons of mass destruction? No, it was because of oil. That's what it's about. It's about forcing countries to buy oil and sell oil using the dollar. Number one, oil is the number one energy in the world, and the dollar is the number one currency in the world. So those two together is like Bonnie and Clyde in a very poor neighborhood with one big unguarded bank, right? So that's kind of where we're at. So where am I getting all this? Where's the big announcement here? Well, the thing is, like I said, they have the cure for cancer, right? Well, guess what? They have the cure for energy as well. But they're not going to tell you about it. And no, it's not solar. No, it's not nuclear. No, it's not whatever other crappy crap they're putting out there. And it's not oil, it's not gas. Well, what is it? What is this energy you speak of that can revolutionize the way the world works? Well, I don't know. But what I do know is it's free and it's abundant. And you say, well, what do you mean you don't know? Well, here's the thing. This is where it gets a little bit dicey, okay? So, you ever wonder why? I don't know if you believe in aliens or not. So that's number one, right? You gotta, if you believe in aliens, which some people do, some people don't. I'm not here to tell you that, right? But what I'm here to say is, why is the UFO subject so covered up, so misconstrued, so far out, so far-fetched, right? Hollywood dogma, right? They create the movies around it, the aliens, right? All, the scary stuff, right? Why is it like that? Why is Area 51 so heavily guarded? Or why is Area S4? Or, you ever go to Google, type in Bob Lazar story. I don't know if he's telling the truth. He did a lie detector test. He said he was telling the truth. But he claimed to work there. And I'm not just speaking on that, but there's many other people. The number one guy, I think, would be Dr. Steven Greer. He put out a couple movies. One of them's Sirius. I think one of them's Disclosure Project. I don't know. There's another one out there too. But basically, just that's what you got to do. Go to Dr. Steven Greer movie and watch the movie. You don't, just give it a chance. Even if you don't believe, just give it a chance. But here's the thing. Here's the big conspiracy. This is a conspiracy. I'm not saying it's true. This is just what I'm saying here. Right? So don't get, some people get their panties in the bunch when you talk about stuff like this. And I get it, I get it. And a lot of it has to do with like religion and God and and stuff like that. But here's the thing. The number one reason, and here's the grand finale right here. Ready? The number one reason why aliens and UFOs are so covered up, are so, far out there. You know why? It's not because they're aliens. It's because of the technology. It's the technology. First of all, when I was in 8th grade, I went to this middle school. I'm not going to say which one, but there was a teacher there. His name was Mr. Morrison, and I asked him if he believed in aliens, because I was always fascinated about that subject. I really was, and I'm a believer, right? You got billions and billions of stars, billions and billions of planets around those stars. You got to have one of those planets to sustain life. What makes us so special, right? By the way, we are very, very special, but I think as a universe, there's much more out there. So he goes, well, yeah, that's true. There could be aliens out there. But the problem is, Brandon, and this is Mr. Morrison, he's speaking to me. I think I was like 12 years old. He says, the problem is, Brandon, is that nothing can get here. Even if they existed far out there, they can't get there. They can't get to here. I said, why? Because the laws of physics say that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light, which is 186,000 miles per second. Nothing, Einstein says, nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. So therefore, these planets out there, if they do sustain life, there are millions of light years away, thousands of light years away, right? Which means if you're traveling 186,000 miles per second, it would take you 10,000 years to get here. So you would not have enough fuel. You would not have enough energy. Energy. Remember that word? You would not have enough to get here. Right? So, is that true? Or is that a big lie? Right? Well, to me, I think that is one of the biggest lies in the world. First of all, that's true. If you're going in a linear direction, nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. But if you look at space as a fabric, right, it can be bent, it can be distorted, right? People have heard of wormholes, people have heard of things like that. So anyways, let's take the concept of a UFO, of an alien, and it's like, well, how did we get here, right? Well, that's what it's about. That's why this country is messed up. Again, it's about money and energy. And aliens. That's what it's about. I swear, that's I could be wrong, but that's what it's about. Money, energy, and alien technology. And first of all, it's not about aliens. Aliens are, I don't know, but it's about the tech. Okay, so if nothing can get here faster than the speed of light, then that means it doesn't exist, right? So the thought is, like Dr. Steven Greer says, yes, they've been here. Think about all the UFO videos you've seen. Think about all the documentaries. Think about all the testimonies. Think about, okay, so let's say all of them are fake. Let's say all of them are made up, except for one. All it takes is one. Just one. Just one story to be real, which validates it. Okay? So let's say it's real. Well, then how did the alien get here? It didn't use oil. It didn't use electricity. How did it get here? Well, people know it as a flying saucer. A flying saucer is an anti-gravity craft. Okay, so in order to manipulate gravity, you have to have an energy force so great, like very, very powerful. I mean, think about planet Earth. Think about how big it is. It creates its own gravity. It's what keeps our feet on the ground. That's how big it is. Okay, so if you are in a flying saucer and you're lifting off the ground, you have to have so much energy. You have to have more energy than 100,000 rockets. First of all, we don't have that kind of energy. So how do you manipulate gravity, right? You got to have a high energy force. Okay, so that's the thing. So remember Roswell, the famous story about that? So here's the actual grand finale. I know I'm kind of beating around the bush. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to say this without sounding like a crazy lunatic. But the thing is, the reason why that stuff is so covered up and so distorted, right, is because of energy, right? The energy capabilities that extraterrestrials have will put oil out of business. Okay, now think about it like this. Think about, like, let's say your name is George. Hey, George, nice to meet you. So you're George and you own oil. You're the king of the world because you own all the oil plants. You own all the electricity. You own all the solar farms. You own all the coal. You're a trillionaire. You're a trillionaire, George. Congratulations. Okay? So then I come along, Brandon, and I have this device in my hand. This device is the size of a cell phone. Okay? And I take this device and I'm pitching it to an investor. And I take this device and I attach it to my own house. And my house is now powered by this generator. Think about a generator the size of a cell phone or even a laptop, right? And this generator can produce enough energy to run your house, to run your neighborhood, to run the city, to run the world, right? This device is very powerful. So that means I don't have to pay General Electric. I don't have to pay Edison anymore. I have free energy. That's what it's about. Free energy. There's no free money. There's no free money, but there is free energy. Just like water, right? You can't tell me that, the ocean, the water out there is just for one person. No, nobody owns that. Unless you're the Coast Guard and they're saying get the hell off our shores, right? But nobody owns free energy, and that's how it's possible. Now, how does the science work and all that? Well, there's a couple videos I can direct you to, but essentially the way it works is you have this device that takes basically the matter, like space, and it takes the space and it basically goes in between, not like a dimension, but it basically abstracts the matter out of space and it converts it into energy. And they say if you take 1 cubic inch of space, that's enough energy to power Los Angeles. And I'm like, that's insane. That's impossible. There's no way. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's fake, right? But here's the thing. If aliens are real, right? I'm not telling you they're real. That's for you. Everybody has their opinion. I'm not here to make you think a certain way. But if you believe in them, how did they get here? They had to have an energy source so powerful to get them here, right? Obviously, they're interdimensional type of craft, right? So, like, there's a lot of, like, if you type in David Adair and listen to his story, or Bob Lazar and listen to his story, this has been going back since the 40s and the 50s, even the 30s. And they basically saw these things, and number one, they said, we cannot disclose this to the public. Why? Because if we disclosed it to the public, it would be here's the grand finale. Here it is. Ready? It would be the end of oil. It would be the end of gas. It would be the end of solar. It would be the end of coal. It would be the end of all energy. Why? Because why would we need oil? Why would we need gas? Why would we need that if we had free energy? Right? So think about that is why that is why the world is messed up. That is the greatest conspiracy of mankind, is energy, right? Think about all the villages in Africa. Think about all the villages in India. They don't have a pot to pee in. Now, imagine them having that device, and they can power their towns. They can have running water. They don't have a pot to pee in, right? So they now, you give them all this, now it becomes a level playing field. Think about the United States. Everybody wants to come to the United States. Everybody wants to come to these democracies, to these countries that have everything, right? And you go to these other countries, they have nothing. It's designed that way. Right? So, anyways, I think we are at a very interesting crossroads. I mean, you've probably heard a lot of stuff about UFOs and stuff. They just came out with a actual footage of a craft going like what, 60 knots or something like that, or no, that's I think that was something else, but they were coming out very, very fast. So explain that, right? Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light unless you can manipulate gravity. And the only way you can manipulate gravity is if you have an enormous amount of energy. And the only way you can have that is if you have a device that can do that. And if Americans had that same device, then you would have no more oil. Think about that's why UFOs are so covered up. Because think about if I went to the United States government and I said, no more oil, no more gas, they would laugh in my face, right? Because it would destroy the economy. Our economy would be destroyed. Think about Texas. Think about all the oil jobs there, right? If a dictator came out and outlawed oil, gasoline cars, what would happen? It would be chaos. Our economy would tank. Our stock market would crash. Everybody would lose everything. That is why UFOs are covered up. Because if that's another reason why all this government spending is because they're going to these unacknowledged special access programs. And that's a real word, right? And that's a good movie too. Watch the movie Unacknowledged. They have these unacknowledged special access programs, right? And they're black projects. And you can say, well, maybe the president knows. No, the president doesn't know. The congressman doesn't know. These are black projects that nobody knows they exist. And you can say, well, who's running these projects? The people who run the world, which is who? The people who control the world's energy, right? The people who control the world's energy control the world and the money, which is what? The corporations and the central bank. So they are the dictators, right? They are the real dictators, and they don't want you to believe in UFOs, because then it begs the question in the science community, well then, if UFOs exist, because if the government came out and said, you know what, we've been lying, UFOs exist, aliens are real, then what would be the next question? First of all, why did you lie to us? Second of all, well then if they are real, then how did they get here? Because we were taught in science that nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. So how did they get here? Oh, well, they have this kind of technology. Well, can't we use this technology to power our neighborhoods, to power our homes, to power the city, the country, the world? Yes, but we don't want that because then other people will use it as a weapon. That's where they get you right there. We cannot disclose this because of national security, national security. There's that word, national security, right? They will never, ever, ever tell you the secret, ever, right? That's why presidents have tried. Every president who gets in there, they say, oh, we're going to do this. I'm sure a lot of presidents were curious about aliens. They can't do anything about it because they have no power. If Trump said, you know what, gas up the plane, I want to go to Area 51 right now, they wouldn't let him. They wouldn't let him. They would say, wait a minute, I'm the president of the United States. I can go anywhere I want. No, you can't. You cannot go to Area 51. And I don't even think they have aliens there. I don't think they even have UFOs there anymore. I think they've moved them to other places. I think Area 51 is obviously, it's a military installation with planes, high-tech stuff. But I think, like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, a lot of these corporations, they have the tech, right? They don't use the tech on the battlefield because then it's like, well, then how did that come about, right? So, again, you eliminate the Federal Reserve, you bring the system, the financial system on the blockchain, totally decentralized and backed by gold, right? It could be decentralized or it could be through the Treasury, right? Somehow, some way, we can get it done. The next thing I would do as president is I would disclose everything involving UFOs, aliens, Roswell, all that stuff. I would disclose all of it if I could, right? If I could. Then what I would do is I would come out and I would say, look, I'm not trying to ban gas. I'm not trying to ban oil. I'm not trying to ban all that stuff. What I'm trying to say to you is that why do you need to pay for oil? Think about a business. Think about how much money it costs to power your house, to power your car, to power your business. And then think about how much it costs to buy groceries, right? Well, guess what? A gallon of milk costs money, right? But think about how much less money it would cost if we didn't have to pay for gasoline. Gasoline is one of the biggest scams in the world. We don't need gasoline. And electricity is also a scam, right? Think about if everyone had an electric car, we would all be screwed because then everybody would use the electricity. There's not enough electricity in the world to power everybody's electric vehicle, right? That's the problem with our economy. If you fix the money problem and you fix the energy problem, you fix every problem on the planet, basically, right? So obviously, people care about what? Their wealth and their health, right? Those two things are the number one things that matter, their health and their wealth, right? So in order to be healthy, you got to live a healthy life, obviously, right? Our food, we're being poisoned. Think about all the poison they put in our food, all the chemicals they put in our food, right? We don't eat real food anymore. We eat processed junk. If you look and if you want to know what to buy at the grocery store, go to there's this one guy, I think his name is Bobby Parrish. He's a little bit far out there, but basically he looks at the ingredients and he tells you, this is crap, this is crap, this is crap. And you know what? It's hard to live healthy, right? But the main thing is oil, right? Everything has canola oil, everything has vegetable oil, everything has this kind of oil. Oil is the worst thing you can put in your body, unless it's fully olive oil or full on like avocado oil, right? It's bad. Right, it's all highly processed, processed oil, and it's not good for people. So, anyway, the food we eat is just as important as the fuel we use to grow our crops, right? So, if basically, what is this video about? Well, this video is kind of like I have a dream. I have a dream where we can live in a world where we don't have to deal with these crooked politicians or these crooked systems, right? We'll call them systems that basically have been enslaving us, right? I mean, think about it. We go to work, we make our money, we come home from a long day's worth of work, we get home, we open the mailbox, we look at our bills, we got all these bills, right? And then we eat our dinner, we go to sleep, we wake up, we do it all over again. It's like, what's the point of this, And that's what we have to do. We have to work, right? We have to work in order to make this country a better place. But the problem is, work is value. Work is value. Where is all the value going? It's going to the top 1%. That's why the rich get richer, the poor become more poor. Right? You have to pay for insurance. You have to pay for gas. You have to pay for oil. You have to pay for all the inflation. Right? You go to the grocery store. Think about how much money all of that is. Guess what? It doesn't have to be that way, right? And Trump doesn't say what I would love him to say. Kamala doesn't say it at all, right? They're not going to say it. They're not going to say the truth. They'll say, oh, inflation is bad. But again, I go back to having a cold. I have COVID-19 and I go to the doctor and I say, hey, I have this cough. The doctor goes, you don't have a cough. You have COVID, right? And the American people have inflation. You don't have inflation. You have the central bank. See what I mean? Right? So you fix the money, you fix the energy. Now, the whole alien thing, I mean, look, I know it's really, really, really far out there and it's crazy and how dare he even say something like that? It's so preposterous, but it's true. It's true. Think about it. Just think about it. I mean, but, I just hate being lied to. You know, we've been lied to our whole lives, or or the whole education system, our history, right? The history of a lot of things, right? Whoever wins the wars gets to write the history, right? So whoever wins the battles gets to write it. So a lot of times it's fake. It's not real, like the fake news, right? Do you think fake news has just been around a little while? No. Fake news goes all the way back to medieval times. Even the Roman days, it was fake news, right? Because it's all about, the leader of the country trying to keep people in line. And the way you do that is, number one, you got to give them entertainment. Number two, you got to keep them working. And number three, you don't want them to ask questions, right? So I want you to look at this right here, the Money Masters full length. It's a 3.5-hour documentary, but it's very well worth it. Just watch this documentary. I mean, it is really good.
100 times.
And
By cooperating with
it goes through the history of everything, and it's the Money Masters. This is what it's all about, guys. So, and anytime you turn on the news, you go, what's that about? This is what it's about. Everything revolves around this right here.
the family, the Rothschilds soon grew unbelievably wealthy. By the mid-1800s, they dominated all European banking and were certainly the wealthiest family in the world.
Yeah, it's laughable. They say, oh, Elon Musk, he's the richest guy in the world. No, he's not. That's a lie. That's the biggest lie in the world. He is not the richest guy. Look, if I'm the richest person on the planet, would I want you to know that? No. The richest people on the planet don't want you to know they exist, right? They're dark, shadowy figures, right? Like Kamala, you can see her face. Trump, you can see his face, right? You know they exist, right? The politicians, you know they exist. The media, you know they exist. But the people who really are pulling the puppet, the deep state, right? That's what it's about, the deep state. Those are the guys who are really pulling the strings, right? And who are those guys? The families, the Rothschilds, the central banks, all of these wealthy corporations. They're the ones pulling the strings. What they do is they lobby Congress. They say, hey, Congress, I'm gonna give you millions of dollars, but you got to do what I want you to do, right? I want you to pass this bill. I want you to block this bill, and I want you to say this to this person. And here's $10 million. Go do it. And these puppet politicians, that's what they do. They go do it, right? Because they don't care about you or me. They care about their donors. They care about their special interest, their lobbyists, because that's what pays the bills. That's what puts food on their table. They're corrupt, right? So, we're being lied to, and especially about the UFO thing, right? I mean, again, we have all of these different energy sources, yet energy is still so expensive because of the demand is so high. But if you can eliminate the competition, then there would be no need for power lines, there would be no need for electrical cords, there would be no need for these brick and mortar places. Why? Because everybody would have free energy. Everybody would be mailed a device, right? Think about that battery charger I was just talking about. A battery charger, right? Or a generator. Everybody would have a generator in their house, and this generator can power their home ever. So you can, if it's 100 degrees outside and you want your air conditioning on 60 degrees, you can put it on 60 degrees and feel nice and cold, right? If that's what you want to do. But your electric bill would kill you, right? So all I'm saying is, I want to eliminate inflation, right? I wish somebody would do that by eliminating the central bank, eliminating the Fed, eliminating oil. Well, not eliminating it, but offering a better solution for that, right? It's just like the flip phone, right? That's what we're using. We're using a flip phone. And then one day, Samsung comes out with their brand new Galaxy smartphone. Nobody wants the flip phone anymore. That's what we have. I mean, think about it. How long have we been using oil? For eternity. How come has there been nothing introduced? Right? Think about all the people's inventions that people do. There's a lot of smart people out there that created all of these inventions, right? And they put them out there. And they put them out there, and let's look at the chart here. Let's look at the prices. And they go to patent their invention, and what happens? They take their patent away. They seize their patent, right? They seize it. Bitcoin's at 65,000. You're like, okay, that's enough of that, Brandon. Let's talk about crypto. Okay, we will. But I want you to watch this movie right here, The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. I think that's it. And then also, let's see here. I'm just on unacknowledged right here. I want you to watch this movie. And I don't care if you don't believe in UFOs or aliens, but this is more than that. This is talking about energy. This stuff right here. It's crazy. It's crazy how, like, if I pick up a telephone and I try to call someone 10,000 light years away, it'll take them 10,000 light years to receive the signal. So how do they communicate over vast distances? Well, it's this crazy technology that we think is science fiction is actually real. And it's insane. Now, and again, it all boils down to energy. Everything is like, if you buy a plastic pool, or you buy a treadmill, or you buy an air conditioner, or you buy a TV, a microwave, a bed, everything that, the materials cost money, but it's also the energy in which it costs to produce it. So what I'm saying is, if we had free energy, just like the air we breathe, right? That's free. You wake up in the morning, right? You have your coffee. You go outside, nice fresh air. That is free, right? That fresh air is free. So why can't energy be like that? Because they want to manipulate and brainwash you into thinking that there's only a few forms of energy and it's not abundant, it's scarce, and we need you to pay for it, right? So hopefully one day in my lifetime, I will get to witness a energy device that basically emits free energy, right? Free. They call it 0 point energy. Google it. Don't just take my word. Type in 0 point free energy, Dr. Steven Greer, or just type it in general, right? I mean, he was on Joe Rogan. He was on the Sean Ryan show. I mean, I think this guy is the real deal. I mean, he's been doing this since, the 90s, since I was born, right? I was born in 92, and I think he's been doing this, briefing Congress, right, since that time. So, yeah, that's all I'll say about that. That's my rant for today. I'm going a little bit crazy here, but sometimes when you watch somebody on TV, like I saw the Kamala, and it just drove me insane. Like, man, like, how can people be so stupid to know that it's so fake? Even things Trump say is fake, right? I like Trump. I want him to win because I think he's going to be the person for the right, position for crypto, right? But I think the guy, you know what? I just, there's a lot of problems with the guy. Like, he doesn't, I feel like he knows things, but he doesn't want to say them, and it just bothers me. And eliminating all these crappy forms of energy by introducing a new form of energy, and then also eliminating, it's just like crypto, right? Why do we need the central bank when we have crypto? It's the same thing. Why do we need oil when we have these free energy devices? And you can say, well, where are they? Well, they don't exist. That's because they have guys with guns protecting them, right? They have, watch the movie. They have, I want you to guys watch The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It. This goes into the energy stuff. Unacknowledged goes into the more UFO stuff. And this is Sirius. That's his first movie. That goes into kind of both of them together, right? So watch those three movies, and you can decide from there if what I'm saying is real or not, right? I mean, come on, think about it. If we can put a man on the moon, supposedly, a long time ago, if we can create a cell phone that can listen to people's conversations, if we can create the internet, if we can create a high definition television, if we can create an AI, artificial intelligent robot, if we can create all these crazy things, right, like SpaceX and self-driving vehicles, if we can do all this stuff, why hasn't no one created something other than oil? Why are we still using oil? It doesn't make sense. Why? Because if there was something that could replace oil, they will shoot it down. If I'm the king of the world and I own all the energy, right, and I saw a new business came that's a threat, right? It's a threat to my product, right? So I have competition, and this competition is going to make me broke, right? So no one's going to buy. Think about ExxonMobil, think about Shell, think about British Petroleum, BP, right? Remember the BP oil spills in the ocean. Why do we need to do that, right? Think about all of these corporations like General Electric, Edison, all these massive, like I already said, ExxonMobil, like these huge companies, right? Do you think they want UFOs disclosed? No. Why? Because if it was disclosed, it would put them out of business. That's why. That's why UFOs and aliens are so covered up. It's not because they're aliens. It's not because they're scary. It's because of the energy. That's what it's all about. They don't want people to know just how capable these energy devices are and how unbelievably they can change our world, right? So anyways, watch the movies. This one was really good, The Lost Century. I don't know if I think some of them are free, but just check it out. And then also watch The Money Masters. So watch The Lost Century, watch Unacknowledged, and watch Sirius, and watch The Money Masters, and you will be like on another level of, oh my God, this can't be happening, right? So anyway, let's look at some crypto here. That was my long 1 hour and 22 minute rant, so it's just we got to make America great again. We got to make our money great again, right? We got to make energy great again. Well, it was never great, but we got to make energy great, and we got to make money great. So let's take a look at the price here. This is by the way, if you're new to the channel, this is all crypto. This is charts, but every once in a blue moon, I'll put a video out that is kind of like a podcast sort of setup, where I just speak my thoughts on what I think and what I believe, and so hopefully it's well received, and I don't come off sounding like a crazy conspiracy theorist or whatnot. So Bitcoin looking very bullish right now. Look at those 3 bullish candles. Look at that. We have here's the big thing with crypto, and I'll keep it short because the video is already long, and I'll probably just end up doing a separate video. But the weekly candle right here, you see this candle? It's going to close in 2 days. All we want is to close above that green candle there. If we can do that, then we would have a weekly close higher high. That is the most important thing that Bitcoin can possibly do, is close. Let me just put the line there 1 second. Just do that right there. So now let's go to the 4 hour. There we go. So there's the line right there. So as long as we can close above that line, today's Friday, so we have Saturday. We have all day today, or the rest of the day. We have Saturday and Sunday. So hopefully we can close above that line. If we can, then it's gonna be a good thing. So, but you guys already know my thoughts on crypto. Obviously, this could be a fifth wave, right? We're going up into a fifth wave, or we're going down into reaccumulation. So that's what, I think I saw a comment somewhere saying, well, it's different. Well, whatever happened to the bullish view? The bullish view has never changed. Yes, I offer bearish opinions and ideas, but the bullish idea has never faded. Because I think I was talking about theta yesterday about, coming down, right? In that bearish scenario. Well, I don't believe that's going to happen. I'm just saying that if Bitcoin had to go into reaccumulation, or we had a black swan deep state style event that caused a liquidity crisis, we could see something like that. But that's a big if, right? So how would that look? Well, look, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a 5-wave move to the downside, and we have an A, B, C. We have an ABC pullback. Maybe it goes a little bit higher. Maybe it goes up to 70K, right? So we have, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. So all of this is 1, all of this is 2. So 1, 2. And we're going to get up here, and we're about to crash all the way down into wave 3, 4, and then 5. And then go into reaccumulation, and then break out later. So that's the bearish idea. And that's always, always, always been the bearish view, even going back over here. Right? Why? Because that's what the cycle is. You have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways breakout. That's the main bearish idea. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, right? Because the alternative to that would be what? It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then get the bear market, right? So either this is a 1, 2, and we're about to go down 3, 4, and 5 into reaccumulation, break out another day. Or this is going to get a fifth wave, and then it's going to end soon. So those are the two options. And until we break this range, both of them are on the table. Now, which one do I think is going to happen? Like I've always said, right? The individual, right? And he said, well, what happened to the bullish idea? It's never changed. It's always the same. I believe we're going to get a fifth wave to the upside. But what I'm saying is, if we don't get that, then what's the alternative? We have to have a backup plan. Well, what's the backup plan? Reaccumulation. And that's exactly what Bitcoin did back over here. We went into reaccumulation. Rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. We go sideways, and then we break out. Right? So that's what it really comes down to. So let's take a look at XRP. Man, XRP is still going. It's still 58 cents. I mean, it's been 58 cents since freaking the dinosaurs, man. I mean, come on, let's go. No, but I think it's gearing up here. I think it's gearing up. Now, can we go down to the bull market support band? Yes, we can. We can come back down and retest it. If you look at how long we've tested it back over here, look at this. We came down to the bull market support band, we bounced off, we tested it again. We bounced off, we tested it again. We bounced off, we tested it again. And then we continued higher. So that was a long time, right? Now look at it. Could we be doing something similar? Maybe, right? We could be going sideways a little bit longer. But as long as we're above the bull market support band, we're in a prime position. So let's look at the smaller time frames here. So we have 3 down, 3 up, and then possibly this could be one, either, 1, 2, and 3 down, something like that. So W, X, Y, get down to the bull market support band, and then go up later on. Or we have 3 down, 3 up, 3 down. This is a running flat. And this is a 1, 2 in here. So let's look at that. So we have 3 down. We have 3 up. And we have 3 back down. And this is a 1 and this is a 2. And now we're about to get 3, 4, and 5. That's another way you can interpret that. Doesn't mean today or tomorrow, but, you know, hope it's got to be soon, though. This could be a 1 and then an A. This is a B, and now we're coming down for C. So A, B, C. We have a 3-wave move down. So this is our wave 1, A, B, C. Break this liquidity down here and then go higher for a wave 3, right? And that would mean that this count, right, W, X, and Y. So W, X, Y, a 3-wave move, right? And then we have a 1, ABC pullback. Let's go. So that's the idea. If that's not the idea, right, then obviously this 3-wave move isn't finished. So we have an A, we have a complex B, right? Something like, you know, actually like that, our B wave, and now we're coming down for C. So A, B, C, right? And then we get down here and then go higher, right? Or we have this trend line here that we can come down to go higher. So it really kind of depends. We're gonna have to monitor it. But it's in a really good spot. So let's look at Theta here. I mean, Theta's doing very well. I mean, it's still at $1.51. Look at it. It's right in the bull market support band now. So XRP is already above its bull market support band. So now Theta needs to, you know, catch up here, which it's been doing phenomenally well. Look at that. XRP's just been going sideways. Theta's been charging like a beast, and that's what we want. So what would be the idea here for Theta? Well, I would like us to come down and backtest this zone and hold it. That would be really, really nice to see. Or if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and let's get 5, and then get an A, B, C, backtest backtest, you know, this area, and then continue higher. That would be nice to see. If that's not the case, then what are we going to do? Well, if this is a 5-wave move, 1, 2, you know, 3, 4, and 5, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in wave 3, then this could be 3 down. We can get 3 up, and then 3 back down later. So it could be a larger, like a big flagging out. So we're going up, and we can be flagging out soon, coming, you know, as far as $1.20 before going higher. So, yeah, we're you know, it's going to take some work. We're moving in the right direction. But if you look at the daily here, you know, it's doing what it needs to do. Now, it could still be Wyckoff, right? Where we would have to come down like this and do that. So we build an accumulation range and then break out. As long as we're in this range, we're bullish, right? As long as we're in this range, we're bullish. So this is our bottom quadrant. This is our top quadrant. And then you can see this little middle area right here is kind of like the gray zone. And that's where we want to get into, is that gray zone. But it could take some time in here. So, look at XRP versus Bitcoin. Look at that. We're finally getting that 3-wave move down. And I got to show you XRP versus Ethereum too. I mean, because we got that one. We nailed that one here. So we have 3 down. We have 3 up. And it looks like we're getting 1, 2, maybe 3, 4, 5. So this could be an ABC here, right? So you can see we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have a 5-wave move in XRP versus Bitcoin, and we're getting a 3-wave pullback into the bull market support band. So what does that mean? I'm looking for more upside soon. Very soon. So hopefully sooner than later. But let's look at, if I can find it real quick. Where are you? There you are. So remember what we talked about here, right? How this was like an ascending triangle here, right? And we said this is an A, and then this is a B. We pop the high, so A, B, and now look, we're coming down for C. A, B, C. See that? Our three-way move. Back test the bull market support band, then continue higher. That's what we want to see. Something like that. And then what we have is a very powerful 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a wave 1. This is a wave 2. Let's go for a wave 3. So all in due time. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. I wasn't even gonna look at the chart really, but I didn't want to leave you with all that heavy load and just ended on nothing, you know. So yeah, I think you know, again, the big topic for today is money and energy. If we can fix those two problems, we can fix everything. All the world's problems revolve around greedy pigs, money and energy, and they're keeping it all for themselves, right? And thank God for crypto, right? Crypto, you know, Satoshi Nakamoto, he disclosed Bitcoin, you know, the blockchain, and created it, right? And they couldn't stop it. Now we need the same thing for an energy device, right? Some type of energy device that can give us free energy, that can abstract matter from space, and or not outer space, but you know, regular space, and convert it into energy, right? Just like how you take moisture out of the air, right? You're taking, you know, electrically charged atoms and converting it into energy. And I think, you know, again, the biggest reasons why they don't want you to know about that stuff, just like they don't want you to know the cure for cancer, is because it would put them out of business, right? Think about what would happen to all the oil companies, all the gas companies, all the electric companies, all the solar companies, all the nuclear companies. They would all go out of business if they knew there was a device of such thing. And that's why UFOs and the whole UFO subject is so covered up. It's not because of aliens. It's because of the technology that would put them out of business. And they will never talk about it. And if they did talk about it, they say, well, we're not going to talk about it because of national security. You know, we don't want North Korea getting this type of generator, this type of technology, because they can convert it into a super weapon. And that's true. The reason why we will never progress as a world, as a planet, as Earthlings, is because everybody, you know, is at war with each other in a way, right? I mean, think about all the missiles and the bombs that all these countries have, right? I mean, nobody trusts anybody, right? So if everybody's not on the same page, you think like an alien civilization, do you think they have countries and elected leaders, or do you think they're like all working together, right? Because if we're at war with each other, then we don't deserve that technology, right? Because if we're using it for weapons, then I hope to God it will never be disclosed, because that's what it's really about, is the fear of if that technology is disclosed to the public, right? If people would use that for evil. And that's what it really comes down to. So maybe that's why they don't want to talk about it. That and it putting them out of business. So anyways, watch those movies I talked about, and man, what a hell of a rant. And I treat it kind of like a podcast too. So anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Remember, not financial advice. These are my opinions. This is entertainment. purposes only, right? This is just one man's opinion. I could be totally wrong on everything. I could be completely wrong, right? I could be totally off. Kamala could be a perfect person, right? There is no conspiracy. There is no government cover-up. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. And I know people feel the same way. There's a lot of people out there that feel the same. So, and the reason because I don't just do a video. I just kind of do it in the spur of a moment. I don't like sit there and plan it out of what I'm going to do and this and that. I was watching the interview and it just lit a fire inside my gut. And I just had to come out and speak it. And maybe there's someone out there listening that can agree or even disagree, right? Because that's what makes us so unique. We all have our ideas. So anyways, what's going to happen? Let's find out. I will catch you guys in the next one. Cheers.